Testing. So Okay, now it's better. Yeah. The hell? No way over here. He had a better computer. Come on, man. Come on. Hell? Takes too long to switch it. Here. Yeah, there we go. Here we go. To the church. go to over here. Come on, man. Why are you gonna make it so hard? Ooh, what did I find there? Yeah. Suppressor snipers. We'll have that. Alright, where should we go? Way over here. bad boy. Okay, I gotta go with John. We're right back. Oh, come on. Oh, fuck. Oh, what the fuck? No, let's get this chaos. Yeah, let's get them. Right. Fucker's over there. Fucker's over there. He seems to be coming over here somewhere. Probably the Gronus. So I should go over here. I might cross path with this asshole. And we'll go here. Shit. Hmm. Same bot and a half. Yeah, there he is. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Stream check.
Y el horno educado perrito. ¿Quieres el Jesús?
¿Qué?
Cogiendo dinero.
No, please.
I'm sorry, que te lo dije con toda mala intención para que te enojaras. Y la semana que viene juego y todo, me voy y
Let's just be nice to each other, pero también te voy a pedir que te mides tu intensidad. Porque lo que yo dije no es nada comparado a lo que tú dijiste.
¿Qué otra cosa te enojaba?
Okay.
Es intencional. Sí, yo sé.
Y tuve que delete previo por lo que le dijiste.
Bueno, I'm sorry, pero yo...
Y ya están preguntando lo que ¿qué voy a hacer yo?
Que no hablaba contigo.
No, I mean, that's okay. I forgive me. I forgive you.
¿Te enojaste por el jueguito?
No, te enojé lo que dijiste, okay?
Ok, pero te enojaste porque lo oyeron en el jueguito.
Yes, porque hoy
Pues
están oyendo.
Pues no, pues no te debes enojar más contigo por cómo te comportas. Tú te pones te oyeron en el jueguito cuando dijiste que yo me hubiese quedado por allá mejor.
No, well,
Eso
no era nada de lo que dijiste, okay? Ya apenas te dije,
te
okay?
enoja, te afecta lo que yo
Pero
te digo.
ya estás otra vez
te
pasándote
estoy
otra vez.
diciendo. Te afecta lo que yo te digo, pero no olvides lo tuyo. Y a mí no me importa si estás en el jueguito, si me haces enojar.
Mira, ya estabas bien antes, ya sigues y sigues y
No
sigues.
estoy siguiendo.
Okay.
Que si tú te pones con tus cosas porque tú estás en el jueguito, yo me tengo que callar.
No, no es un jueguito, okay? Es lo que dijiste, okay? Man.
¿Y qué otra cosa te iba a decir para enojarte?
Pero sigues y sigues y sigues, es lo que no es normal.
Bueno, pues no. ¿Sabes que soy anormal? ¿Para qué me pica? Y guarda esto más. otra ensalada que nos vamos a poner en nuestra este pan lo que no me gusta que trae esta gotita de caja. En vez de ponerle un poquito, ¿qué le costará ponerle un poquito de tamatao? Pueden ser más baratos y los guardan mejor, empacan mejor. Hoy vamos para Brad. Ya ni a Brad, ¿verdad, Tony? No, es imposible. Compro pan, ensalada. No. Te compró pickles.
Thank you.
Te regalo de cumpleaños. Y que no esperes más allá. Tienes los pickles.
Es todo lo que merezco.
Ni siquiera pickles.
Yeah. I deserve the eternal pains of hell.
También.
In my humble opinion, es el diablo.
No
Él nada más está atacando mi weak point. Es un ataque satánico.
No es que no juegues, como te digo 1000 veces. Es que le das que te cuesta dejar lo que estás haciendo para firmar unos pinches cheques. Tengo que yo estar sentarme y Giselle
Los firmé, no, eso no era eso.
Giselle sentada esperando porque te enojaste porque tuviste que pararte. Giselle sentada esperando.
No, me enojé porque lo que dijiste, ¿ok?
Sí, no, lo que dijiste tú antes. No dije yo nada sin haber escuchado. Que lo que quiero decir es darle prioridad a lo que tiene prioridad.
No inventes cosas, lo que dijiste, ¿ok?
Sí, tú dijiste. Tú me dices lo que dijiste.
Tú ya sabes, no tengo que decirte.
Sí. ¿Quieres que yo te conteste?
No todavía es muy sorry.
No, porque sí, no debí decirlo, pero quiero decir que no me piques la lengua. Que yo también soy humana, yo soy perfecta casi. Pero también, si me pican, me encuentran. ¿Tú quieres esto? Hablamos de estos blueberry grandotes. ¿Cuánto? Uy. Que son buenos por ti. GG. veces más medium que large. Que buscar un acomodo a ese foto, porque esos pickers son buenos, pero no, y ocupan espacio aquí abajo, yo creo que...
What the hell?
Porque para aquí pesa mucho. Esta se dañó. Y déjame quitarme los tenis. Cómete eso, todos son buenos. Son buenos para ti. Los blackberry.
Cream. Sour cream normal.
No son buenos.
No son muy calientes.
No son muy chilosos. Déjame ver si aquí tengo una cuenta. Quizá. Aquí llegó algo de hurta. Oh, sí.
Que llamo mañana IDD.
Puse 4,000 en check. En saving.
Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us tonight for this special edition of Real America. The Real America team and myself have traveled to Bedminster, New Jersey, where for the past hour, nearly hour and a half, I sat down with President Donald J. Trump for an exclusive face-to-face interview. We discussed an array of topics, from the crisis in Afghanistan to the crisis at our southern border, the flailing economy, his COVID response versus a Joe Biden, and pretty much everything Trump versus what we are seeing today under this Biden regime. For the next hour and 10 minutes, I hope you'll stick with us and enjoy this face-to-face with 45. Mr. President, first of all, thank you so much for granting us this interview.
Thank you
Truly
very much.
appreciate it. Yeah. Let's start with Afghanistan and discuss what's happening today. We have heard that the humanitarian operations at the Kabul airport have pretty much ceased. Your assessment overall of this debacle that has become the Afghan crisis under the Joe Biden presidency?
Well, they ceased because the United States has totally lost control. People are bombing them. They're sending rockets into them. They're killing a lot of people, 200 people 2 days ago, of which we had 13 Marines at least, because you have a lot of very badly wounded Marines and Navy right now. This is the greatest humiliation in the history of our country, in my opinion. This is a psychological humiliation and a military humiliation. And when Biden said he's taking out the military before he takes out the people or the equipment, I said that can't be possible. I figured the press got it wrong because they get so much wrong. And they didn't get it wrong. He took out the military, lost total control. We had total control. In fact, in his speech, I'm sure they were thrilled when he said it, but he made a mistake probably. But it was true. Not one soldier was killed for 18 months under me, because they understood that if they killed any of the American soldiers, any American, period, anybody gets killed, we go after them like I did many times. And I dealt with Abdul, who is now the leader. Officially, he was a leader then too, so at least I was dealing with the right guy. And I told him, you will be met as hard or harder than any country has ever been met with force before. And I said, you understand that? And he did understand that. And I said, and it will start with your house. That's where it's starting. And it was fine. Nothing was happening. When I look at your red charts where so much was gathered and so much was taken in a short period of time, under my auspices, it was not at all taken. Now, I wanted to get out for years because we should have never been there. We could have hit them hard, should have never been there. But we were there. It was the biggest mistake, I say, in the history of our country. Trillions and trillions of dollars spent, probably at least $2 trillion spent. No, we've never spent money like that. The longest war we've ever had. We didn't fight it like a war. We had a lot of woke generals, but we have great generals too. We have great generals because I defeated ISIS very quickly with great generals. I could tell you who they are, but it's a shame. Biggest humiliation in our country's history.
That's what I want to know. What about the conditions you set? Because you had an agreement, you and I chatted before, with Abdul. And that agreement, when you laid out those terms you just talked about, where you told him, you mess up, you miss one benchmark of these conditions, you're done. Why didn't the Biden administration follow exactly the conditions you had set up and hold their feet to the fire with this?
Because they're weak and they're stupid. It's very simple. I bombed them a lot during this agreement because they didn't meet a certain condition. Our biggest condition was that you never, ever touch any of our soldiers or any of our military, any civilians, number one. Number two, you never, ever even think about coming to our homeland. Those were the two biggest conditions. And they were verbal as well as otherwise. But he understood that. You never had problems with when I was president with them. There was no problem. They weren't taking over the country. They were very good. I said, we want to get out. I want to leave. I've been saying that for a long time. We're in there for 21 years. We're fighting it like police, not military. We were like police people. We were guarding traffic. Oh, come on over here. Come on over here. What are we doing? $2 trillion. Millions of people count both sides, because I count both sides. People say, oh, that's not very conservative. Well, I think it is. Millions and millions of people killed in the Middle East. Millions of people killed. And you know what it is now? A bombed-out disaster, okay? Single worst disaster going into the Middle East in the history of our country. The single greatest humiliation we've ever had was the withdrawal from Afghanistan. We could have had a beautiful withdrawal. We could have gone out with victory. We would have taken all the civilians out, all the Americans out, take other people if we determine that they're worthy. We took out so many people so quickly. A lot of those people that we took out are terrorists. They were hopping on those planes because they're very smart, they're very sharp, and they know how to get onto a plane a lot better than a regular person that needs protection. So we have terrorists now being delivered all over the world from Afghanistan. And you will see things happening over the years to come that is disgraceful. So we have this plan, strong conditions. They didn't meet a couple of them. We hit them very hard. There was no way, Dan, that they were ever in a million years going to do anything to us. So we were getting our civilians out. We could take our time. If it took us 2 years or 1 year, there was no date that mattered. I said a May 1st date, but there was no date. One of the reasons I wanted to have it longer because they weren't meeting all of the conditions. We hit them very hard. So we're going to take them out, take all of our $83 billion worth of equipment that now I'm sure as we sit, Russia, China is now taking it apart so they can make exactly the same stuff as we do.
But was this incompetence or was this done on purpose? We have a lot of folks,
Yeah.
that
I don't
send
think it was
us to
done
the
on
network and they say, well, they look at the globalist and the way both parties have tried to, and the military complex get into wars, if you will, and they're like, did Biden and his administration or the military complex do this on purpose, or are they that incompetent? You believe the latter.
I don't even think about it. I think it was gross incompetence.
Okay.
They may be trying to spin it the other way because it makes them sound better. You want to know the truth. I think it makes them sound better. What could be worse? They had no idea what they were doing. They took the military out first. I mean, it doesn't help them to do that. Might as well get the Americans out. Might as well get the equipment back. We gave them 83. Somebody said they're the 16th best. I think they're the best equipped man-for-man army in the world. Okay, man-for-man.
Read the same
Everyone
thing.
gets 22 rifles.
Yeah.
Our
They now
guys
have
can-
the equipment of the top 20 nations
They
around
have
the
better
world.
equipment
They're in
than
the
us
top
because
20.
it's more modern.
Yeah.
They have more modern equipment than we do. And by the way, we should get it out. One of the things we should do right now, and I was the biggest one for getting out, we should either demand it back and demand it, or go get it, or at a minimum, blow the hell out of it.
Right. Isn't that typically what we've done? When we've pulled out of foreign nations, you destroy. If you can't take the equipment, you destroy it so that it doesn't fall into enemy hands.
I like the idea of taking it better because it's so valuable.
We paid
it's
for
so advanced. We paid for it. I remember when General Milley, I said, we're taking all the equipment, every nail, every screw, every bolt. He looked at me and he goes, sir, it'll be cheaper to leave it. I said, maybe in your mind, but not in my mind. It is not cheaper to leave it. When you have millions of dollars in army tanks, it's cheaper to leave it? Why? That's cheaper than putting it on a plane and taking it out? It's not. These people are misguided. They don't know what the hell. We have woke generals and we also have great generals. But the woke generals are the ones you see on television.
Do you think that our military was preoccupied over the last 7 months of this administration with all the wokeness? We saw the videos come from the CIA, from the Navy, from the Army. We saw Milley up there talking about that white nationalists and white rage is one of the biggest threats in the military, and we have to address it right now.
By the way, he never talked that way when I was there. He was there. A lot of generals, they've been there for years. Milley never talked that way when I was there. Never once did I never heard him talk that way. How about the letters they send to the people in the Army, to the people in the Navy, talking about equality? I said, so let me ask you a question with equality. Strong letters on equality, and if you don't get equality, you report everybody. I said, so if a general, like General Patton, if a general walks up to a private and starts chewing them out like you've been watching for 200 years, right? Well, is that general in jeopardy? Like all of the modern day stuff that we're talking about? Well, he should talk to him with respect, sir. I said, okay, this is about...
It's not how you create soldiers, sir.
It's crazy. I at my last rally in Alabama, we had 68,000 people in the rain. It was raining. It was thunder. We're saying, please don't come. We had to turn away 40,000 people at least. So we had 68,000 people. And I said, you know what? With all of this woke stuff that's happening, and I canceled everything. It was happening from before me. And I canceled all of it. We got rid of people that were being paid $500,000 a year to teach cancel culture. I got rid of it. Executive order. I got rid of everything. But then they ended that executive order and they went back to it in spades. But you know, when we were there and when that crowd was, you never saw a crowd like this. They're more excited now than they were before the election. They're angry, but they're also excited because they want something, they need something. But I said to myself, you know, we have a big rally in Alabama. You remember the movie Patton?
Oh,
let's
yes.
put out George C. Scott. Let's put out his opening scene, which was a classic with the American flag behind him, and we put it out. The place went wild.
I bet. You know what came about. You got me off subject, but that's okay, Mr. President. There's now a conspiracy theory online since you played that the other night in Alabama,
Yeah.
that they're saying that you are Patton's kid.
Oh, really?
Yes, I saw it today. I want to stick with Afghanistan, but kind of transition to foreign policy, because what a mess this is now creating. And can you discuss a little bit more about how Biden's weakness and what he allowed to happen in Afghanistan is now going to embolden Iran, Russia, China? We already know China's going to go in and start stripping the minerals. We heard about the pipeline that Russia wants to build across Pakistan and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
That'll probably happen now. And don't get me started on Iran. We know what you said on Rush Limbaugh about Iran. I wish we had a president like you in right now that would do that. But let's talk about the implications of our enemies, but also the message it sends to the allies that we allowed this to happen.
So bad, just so bad. You know, when I was president, I'd go into these meetings on NATO, on anything, and it was like, sir, what would you like? Always the best seat, always the seat of prominence. They don't feel that way about us anymore. And with NATO, you know, they were ripping us off, and they do rip us off. It's total. And they were not paying their bills. They were delinquent, many of them. Yeah. So I got them into a room, and I said, this is for 18 years they've been delinquent, including Germany, including some of the big ones. 8 of them were paid up, and 20 were delinquent, okay? And we were paying for the delinquent nations. And they said to me, sir, would you protect us if we're delinquent? I said, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Everyone was shocked. Never got out to the press, you know, when I said that. But because I said that, everybody started paying. And I took in $430 billion from NATO. And I thought that was a great achievement. Of course, it doesn't get reported. But we took in $430 billion. I took in $130 billion immediately. Took in a total of $430 billion. They respected us.
Right.
They don't respect us anymore. They've lost respect for our country. It actually looks like we lost a war. It was a psychological thing. Think of it. You know, the Taliban's very smart. The Middle Eastern people are very smart. You deal with smart people. They've been fighting for their whole lives. They've been arguing
Right.
and fighting. They love to argue and they love to fight. And we got into that mess. And it looks like they took all of this equipment and all of this life and treasure. Our treasure is the lives that we lost. And how about if you're a parent and you see what we got out of this? What did we get? We got humiliated, and you lost a son or you lost a daughter. I used to greet them at Dover, and the people at Dover, I don't know if they can ever recover, really. And maybe they can recover to an extent, perhaps, but basically they can't recover. And they must be just furious. There was one woman who was screaming, you probably saw it yesterday, that Biden killed her son, and it was a rigged election that got him there. And all the media took out the whole part that she was calling it a rigged election.
She's the one that called the radio station, I believe, in Colorado. Yeah,
a rigged election. He got there because it was a rigged election. He didn't even know what he was doing. You took away our president. It was a rigged election. And my son is dead. If President Trump were there, my son wouldn't be dead. And that's true. We wouldn't have lost anybody, neither would the other side, because they were standing back, and then they can go back to fighting their revolution that they've been fighting for 1,000 years, okay?
Right.
Because that's what they do.
If you had a message to those parents, loved ones since this war, 20-some years back, and obviously on what just happened with the Marines and the Navy medic, what would that be? Because as you said, if you were in the White House, and I firmly believe this wouldn't have happened.
It wouldn't have happened. There was no reason.
But what would you say to them just now and for all the ones that we've lost?
I think all I could do is apologize for the gross miscalculation of this administration. This administration is a disaster, what they're doing. Not only here, everywhere else. I mean, what can you say to a parent that lost their son or their daughter? Incompetence, because I believe it was incompetence. There's no way they did this for any other reason. I know there are a lot of things. I happen to think the southern border is incompetence, too. I say there's no way anybody could want that. Nobody could be that stupid. Has to be incompetence. because the southern border was sealed. Everything was good. People only come in legally. They come in legally. We had stopped 82% of the drugs from coming into our country. Now, fentanyl is pouring through, totally unchecked, unstopped, like we've never had before. I really believe, and a lot of people disagree with me, but I believe the southern border is incompetence. And either incompetence or fear of the radical left by people that are running things. But to a parent, you can only apologize for the stupidity and the unfairness of this current administration, because this should have never happened. They were not going to attack us. We were going to take our equipment. We were going to take our people. We were going to wave goodbye. I was going to blow up all forts other than Bagram, where we spent $10 billion building this. I think it's the largest in the world Air Force base with 8-foot thick runways. Think of 8 foot thick. Yeah. You could have used 6 inches. 8 foot thick runways. The largest in the world, and it happened to be right next to China, right next to Iran, and in Afghanistan. What's better than that? So I was going to keep that, man it, just have it. It's a good thing to have a base. And they gave it up in one night. They fled. Right. They fled Bagram. The biggest, one of the biggest in the world, I think the biggest in the world, and they fled. A perfect location for us for other things, which you have to think. You have to be a chess player. You have to be a poker player. You have to see where the other side's coming from. China is laughing at us. Russia is laughing at us. And this morning I heard, because I get along very well with Kim Jong-un, I was criticized for that. You didn't hear a thing about North Korea for 4 years. We had
you
a
took
very
office,
testy
you were
beginning.
going to put us in war. That's what Obama and the rest of the Democrats told us. If you as president would put us in war with North Korea, and you calmed it all down and put him in his place.
Rocket Man, the whole thing. Remember he's got a red button on his desk. I said, I have a much bigger red button, and my red button works. And it was really nasty for a month or two. People thought, wow. And then all of a sudden, he wanted to go to the Olympics. Let's meet at the Olympics, which was a big failure until he said that, because nobody wanted to go because they thought the Olympics in South Korea were going to be bombed. So all of a sudden, he wants to go to the Olympics. And then we ultimately met in Singapore and Vietnam. And more importantly, I met him in North Korea. Yeah. First time ever. And he and I got along great. He and I absolutely got along great. You know, they hate to see that, oh, that's a terrible thing that you're getting along. Just like now.
Keep your friends closer, enemies closer.
Yeah, they said, why did you speak to the Taliban? Because I told the Taliban, you play games with us, and we're going to blow you to pieces. That's what I told them. I said, now we can start talking about how we go about it. But if you play any games, we're going to blow you to pieces. Worse than any country has ever been hit, we're going to hit you. But they say they're so stupid. It's grossly incompetent. Why are you dealing with the Taliban? There's nobody else to deal with. There's nobody else to deal with. But they didn't deal with the Taliban right. They dealt with the Taliban from weakness. I dealt from strength. Yes. When I dealt with the Taliban, when I took over, we had almost 20,000 soldiers. When I left, we have 2,500 soldiers. I'm the one. I got them out. And yet those 2,500 in strategic places held that perfectly. Right. But I want to bring people back home. And I could have even seen leaving a very small force. You know, we do in other countries. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think the other countries should pay a lot, like South Korea should be paying us a lot. And I got them to pay us a lot, billions and billions of dollars. You know, South Korea now pays billions of dollars. They didn't pay hardly anything when I got there. I said, why are we protecting you? They said, because you have always done it for 85 years. I said, well, we're not going to do it anymore. Look, you have to pay. You're a wealthy nation. You make the ships. You make the television sets. You stole our television industry. You did everything. You got to pay us. And they paid us. I mean, it wasn't so easy, but it was nasty conversations for a couple of weeks. After a couple of weeks, billions and billions of dollars they pay us. And you know what the Biden administration just did? I said, you're going to have to pay us much more than this. They agreed to a cost of living increase. You know what a cost of living increase is? Like nothing. I just see it 2 weeks ago. It was reported that South Korea has agreed to pay a cost of living. Cost of living on the money that I got, okay?
No, it's nothing.
It's so sad. So when you ask me, was it on purpose? I think it was gross incompetence. I think the whole country is running incompetently.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Except for stealing elections. On that, and I said
that was intentional.
If they were as good at fighting wars as they are at stealing elections and rigging elections, because it was a rigged election, we would have no enemies right now. There would be no enemies to have.
¿No te gustaría que estaba
They
el pelo,
focus on that. That's their focus. Rigging elections. That's what they do.
Me dan baño.
And we caught them. Go ahead.
Let's talk about immigration. You went there, and we have watched since February.
No,
The numbers
ahora.
start at 80 to 100,000. Last month's numbers were 212,000
It's out of control.
illegals coming in from over
Dame la
100
máquina, yo lo hago
countries.
solo.
We know
Me
26%
voy allá
of them
como
are
número
caught.
13 y lo
We know
hago.
that over 114, I think is the number were caught, are from 14 different terrorist nations and groups. So we've got terrorists, we've got drugs, human and sex trafficking. I know that the opioid crisis and the human trafficking,
Dame la
especially
máquina,
with
yo lo
women and
hago.
children, those were very near and dear to your heart to fight those hardcore. And those numbers were going down when you were
Way
in,
down.
way down.
Record down.
I've had on several folks from the border agency that are retired now because they're allowed to speak with us once they're retired because Biden has muzzled them to the press,
Right.
especially OAN. They've told me that besides morale being the lowest, compared to when you were in charge just a few months ago, we had the lowest numbers in over 21 years on almost everything.
And the highest
drugs.
morale. By the way, we had morale.
Más
They
dame la
were
máquina,
great.
yo lo
Border
hago.
Patrol and ICE, you know, they're great people. They're brave people. You wouldn't want the job. You wouldn't want to be an ICE agent and have to go into, they call it a den of MS-13 killers in Chicago or someplace, and say, come with me. And you walk in there and the fight starts and everything starts. It's very dangerous. These are brave, incredible people. They virtually threw ICE to the sideline. It's really incredible. We had the strongest border in the history of our country. Now we have, 8 months later, we have the weakest border by far in the history of our country. We don't even have a border, actually.
Yeah. Why do you think, this is another thing, talking about the Middle East, why would the Biden
Si estás
administration
bueno, dame la
want
máquina,
to
yo lo hago.
allow, by the end of this year, by most figures I've looked at, it's going to be 1.5, 2 million
Millions of
illegals in.
people,
Yeah,
millions.
2 million by the end of the year.
Pero
Why
sí,
would you
síguese,
wanna do
síguese,
that?
síguese.
You're trying to that, and we see where we're shipping them. They're shipping them to the
Más,
Midwest,
yo
the
que lo
South,
hago.
red states mostly. Is this
No, yo no
a
estoy
plan
insistiendo.
for another way to cheat elections?
So they say it's the votes, but I don't think so again. You know, I don't want to be naive. I think they're grossly incompetent. I really do. I don't think it's the votes because they cheat on the elections. They don't need votes. They cheat on the elections. I mean, you look at 43,000 votes we found last night. They cheat on elections. When you cheat on elections, you don't have to destroy the country. They're destroying our country. Our country will not survive this. Our country will not survive. And look at what they're coming from Yemen. They're coming from the Middle East. They're coming from all countries that are very sick countries, very sick, very mean, nasty. They're coming from all countries that have problems. They're not going to be helpful to us, these people. And a lot of them are criminals. Right. They're emptying their jails. If you look at Guatemala, Honduras, and others, they're emptying their jails into our country. Can you believe this?
We got a win the other day with SCOTUS, though. Your great executive order of the Stay in Mexico policy that was working for 3 or 4 years. Biden, of course, reversed the first, week. SCOTUS ruled against that. So that's one good win.
Stay in Mexico, so important. Because I say, stay in Mexico. We don't want you in our country until you can come in legally. Stay in. They had hundreds of thousands of people at the border staying in Mexico. And I built almost 500 miles of wall. Could have had the rest of it finished in 1 month. 2.5 years of litigation, or I would have had it finished easily. Had to fight everybody. 2.5 years of litigation. Then I started it. Built almost 500 miles. That's one of the reasons the numbers are so low. But he should finish it. He should finish it. And he should finish it. He could do it in a month. Now contractors are suing, wanting more money than they got to build the thing in the first place because they're saying they've been caused great harm by not finishing it.
The contractor said he pulled it, and it's going to cost the American taxpayer money not to finish the wall.
Billions and billions of dollars not to build the wall.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we finished most of it, and it was a tremendous help. And that's what gave us these low numbers. In addition to which, I have a very good relationship with the president of Mexico. He gave us 28,000 soldiers free. You know why they were free? Because I said otherwise they're going to tear off their cars. So 28,000 Mexican soldiers free, and it kept our borders so safe during the construction of the wall. Now the wall is almost built, and he doesn't want to finish it. He doesn't want to just do the connections.
Right. We were there in March with my team. We, in a 2-3 hour period in Yuma, Arizona, saw probably 150 people cross. We questioned a lot of them that could speak with us. We found them from 12 different countries, a lot of men and women, and you name it. And what's interesting is when we talked to the border agents, they were telling me that somewhere between 45 and 55% of them are not even on the border anymore. They're so busy literally babysitting, going to Walmart and buying formula and clothes. So our border, besides whether the wall will be complete or not, 50% of the agents aren't even there. So my question to you is, we've now got Afghanis that are going to be coming into this country and elsewhere. We know they're not all being vetted. There's no way they're getting them out and vetting them properly that quick. We've got a porous southern state that we know at least about 100 people on the watch list have come through. Are you worried, Mr. President, about another 9/11 style attack?
Well, you're going to have it. You're going to have it. As sure as you're sitting there, you're going to have it. Forget about Africa. Many countries in the Middle East right now where they're coming in. But with the Afghans, we're bringing them all over the world, as we said, planes dropping them all over to countries all over the world. But here's the thing. Most of those countries are smart. They're going to drop them off into this country. They're going to say, listen, we're holding them for a short period of time, but we want the U.S. to take them. We'll end up taking everybody. We're like the lapdog for every nation. When you look at, as we said, NATO, the way they used us, and then they kill us on trade. I said to Merkel of Germany, I get along with her nicely. I liked her. She's very smart and very good for Germany. I said, you don't treat us right. You have cars in your country. How many Chevrolets are in the middle of Berlin? Oh, I don't believe any. You're just about right. I think there's one. It's in a museum. I said, how many Fords are in the German city? And yet we have 52,000 troops over there to protect them against Russia. And then they make a deal with Russia to give them billions of dollars with a pipeline going into Germany to support energy. So let me ask you a question, Angela. So you pay Russia billions of dollars for energy, and we protect you against Russia. That's not making a lot of sense. I'm the one that exposed the pipeline. You know, nobody ever talked. You probably never even heard of the pipeline going in. Nord Stream 2, nobody talked about it until I came along. And Putin even said, you're killing me on the pipeline. It's true. I was very tough with Russia. Getting along with Russia was a good thing. Getting along with Xi. I get along great with Xi of China. I get along great with Kim Jong-un, but now he's angry because he's angry about something and he's doing the nuclear stuff again. And we cannot play games with nuclear.
Democrats understand you keep your friends close, but the enemies closer, and that's what you did.
Well, I got along great with most of the leaders. The only ones I didn't get along really good with were the weak ones. But those are the ones we didn't have to worry about. But I got along really great with the leaders. And getting along with Putin, he's got his 2,000 nuclear warheads, and getting along well with Kim Jong-un was great. I got along with them. I actually liked a lot of these people. And they liked me, and they respected me, and they respected our country, more importantly. Our country's a laughing stock all over the world. I got along great, as an example, with President Xi.
Son las
Said,
3:35.
but I am not the king. I said, yes, you are your president for life. It's the same thing. You're the king. But he and I got along great. And then COVID, the China virus came. And when the China virus came, I made an unbelievable trade deal with China. That's what's keeping our farmers wealthy right now. But the trade deal I made with China was great. But you know what? Once COVID came, it was just a different thing. It was hard to get along with somebody because it came out of China. It came out of the Wuhan lab, just as I said a long time ago. Remember when I said that? And they went crazy. Right. The media to protect them. You know why? Because they make a lot of money from China, and they have a fear of China. But they immediately defend China. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, they defend China. But I said it came out of the Wuhan lab, the Wuhan province, but came out of the lab. Everyone went crazy. They took me off Twitter, but I turned out to be right.
Yeah, we're going to get to that one. I want to stay with COVID. That's another big one that our viewers at OAN want to know about. When it first started, and then it came out after you left office, people, of course, ran the tapes from the author when you were talking about it back in January, February, and the left and the media, of course, accusing you of downplaying it. I understand that. You understood that from a business standpoint.
Cheerleader.
Talk about those exactly. You're not going to instill fear in a nation, especially when we had the best economy we'd seen in how many decades under you? We had 8 million more jobs than we needed. Hispanic, black, female, you name it. The jobless numbers, they were the lowest ever in history, right?
Best ever.
Was there any missteps? Do you regret anything with the handling, or did you do at the time and looking back in retrospect what was right for not hyping it up and scaring a nation?
Well, I actually thank you for the question. I guess in life you always have missteps no matter what you're doing. Even if you get 100 in your exam, you could have done maybe a little bit better, right? We did a great job. The ventilators, there were none. We made them in a short period of time. We had them being made in Ford and General Motors and Honeywell and, you know, all of these masks. We were doing what we did. All of the cupboards were bare, including the U.S. cupboard. The governors didn't have anything. We didn't, because nobody really ever thought a pandemic would happen. It sounds like sort of an ancient thing, you know, or go back to 1917, which was so bad. But nobody thought it was going to happen. And we got into gear. And then, of course, I took the FDA and I forced them, just sheer will, and I was nasty to them too, because they're a bunch of bureaucrats. I forced them, look how long it takes them to get everything approved, but I forced them to get a vaccine done. Now, you have a lot of, you know, people feel differently about vaccines, and I think mandates are terrible, and I think giving it to young kids are terrible. I think they have to go to school, they got to get there. You look at other countries where Germany, where they start in school, and other countries where they start in school, and there's like no incidence of anything. But we have a whole different kind of a mindset. I think we did a phenomenal job on the China virus, except for one thing, public relations. But no matter what you did, remember for a while I was doing a news conference every day, and people loved the news conference, the highest rated show on television, just about, right?
Wait, you mean Mr. Cuomo's wasn't?
Yeah, Cuomo's.
He got an Emmy for it.
How did they
turn President? They took it back last week.
So anyway, they did take
they took the Emmy back. I have a couple. I'll give him one.
So here's the thing. So we got the word out, but the they just don't want to report it the way it is. We did a great job. In addition, we report all of our COVID at a level that nobody in the world does. If somebody's dying of a heart attack and dying of cancer, and they're somewhere close to being somebody with COVID,
Giselle. Oh. Y...
Okay, let's call the match in 10, 15 minutes.
In 10 minutes. What?
Yeah. Yo tengo que sacar el garbage, pero yo puedo hacer eso después que me cortes el pelo. Luego tengo que limpiar el baño.
Quizá tuviste Cruella. Yo la vi en el avión, it's pretty good. Disney la tiene gratis. Yeah.
Let's go over here.
¿Por aquí? Ah.
Get better, computer. Alright, some kind of cheat. Alright. I have to clean the restroom and take out the garbage and get a haircut, so I'm going to end the stream now. Probably stream later on. Okay.